Welcome back. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how recession is actually just a mindset. We are in an economic recession, but a recession is created in your mind. We're going to take a deep dive in how to get out of that.
Welcome to the Lighthouse Freedom Podcast. My name is Chad King. I'm sitting here with my good buddy, Houston McDowell, and we are super excited to be back. Season one was just an incredible back and forth, talking about success, talking about mindset, how to achieve, how to believe, how to succeed. And we're back for season two with some more nuggets, hopefully.
Really excited to get into it. This season, we're going to be a little bit more relaxed, a little more conversational as we get into season two, but We've got some really cool content for you guys, and looking forward to sharing it. Yeah,
which is, if you're watching us on YouTube, we changed up the vibe and the energy here, because season one, we were all about it. Season two, we were a little bit more relaxed, but we're still going to bring the heat.
A little more chill.
Probably going to get a little intense too.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
So we're talking today really about the fact that obviously we are currently in a recession. We're filming this December 2022, and you guys should be listening to this about the same time. And we're in a recession, no doubt about it. But Houston and I were talking about, how we can deliver value and continue to deliver value, and talk about a little bit more about the current situation and how to succeed and win during tough times. Because in a recession, this is a chance for you to gain a lot of ground when a lot of people are constricting, a lot of people are holding back, a lot of people are worried about all the stuff that's going on. And it is a great time if you're poised to expand and to push out. Yeah. And we were talking earlier about how recession, that term recession is thrown around right here, and it kind of causes people that, like, almost that stress, right? That leads to the inflammation and the pausing of everything. Yeah. But it's really just a mindset thing. So if you believe you're in a recession, then you're in a recession. Right. The economy is different than your economy. Right. So separate the two. Right. Because you have your own little economy that you're running, your businesses, your life, like that, those kinds of things.
Your businesses, your life, your relationships. Both of us are dads, so we have an entire economy within our homes with our children, and I think it's important that everyone remember during this recession, it is a recession. Like, we're certainly not negating the fact that there's an economic recession, but you still have the ability to create your own economy, like you said, within your business, within your relationships, within your parenting, friendships. And what I want to encourage people to do is not to pull back so much, right? Like, to keep expanding, and then ultimately to talk about that, within business specifically, is to use this time when everyone's pulling back and tightening up to really, advance your business or your businesses, because everyone, and we were talking about it before we started filming, and it's Q4. Holidays are coming up, so everyone's kind of like, they're adopting that recession mindset, even getting into December, right? And what I mean by that is, we don't want to make any buying decisions right now. We're kind of taking it slow. I've got family coming in town.
Seeing how things play out.
Let's see. Yeah, let's see what happens. And then Q1, we'll re-engage and talk about things. But I feel, and I know that you feel, now's the time to actually be advancing, taking those steps now.
This is a great time. I was talking to a couple people. I was doing a little bit of coaching, and they were talking about, it was like right around Thanksgiving. And they're like, tomorrow we're just hanging out with the family. I was like, yeah, you should be underwriting and submitting LOIs tomorrow, because nobody else is. Right. It was like the Friday after Thanksgiving, and they were talking about how and it's not that you can't relax, right? And I'm not saying you need to work a full day. Sure. But it's a great opportunity, just like the weekends are, to put a little bit of work in and gain a little bit of ground. And especially right now is that time. Yeah. It's a great time to gain ground, because your competition is on their laurels. Your competition's getting fat and happy, eating good and opening presents and drinking eggnog and kind of relaxing, because that's been what's told. That's what's told. That
this is what you should be doing right now. Right.
Who told? Like, we're big on asking questions. We have a little thing right here in the center that says "Ask more questions." Like, who told you that? Right. Who said that now is the time that you need to rest? Like, you have to rest now. Yeah. And honestly, did you earn it? Yeah. I mean, taking a month off or taking 2 months off, or have you earned it? Yeah. How was your year? What did your year look like in totality? I mean, what was your body of work like, and have you earned that time off? Yeah. I don't agree that you just get all this time off because it was, Jesus's birthday.
Right.
People are taking, weeks and weeks off and resting on their laurels, but family time is important. Don't get me wrong. We talk about we're not all about like hustle, work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're really a lot about like the whole work-life harmony thing, which is what we talked a lot about in season 1, like making it one harmonious life. So make sure that you're tending to all your buckets and your family and everything like that. But the other thing that I want to talk about too is just the fact that, the recession thing is 100% just in your mind, right? And it is, if you are buying into the fact that we're in a recession, it is because it's being a narrative that is being thrown at you constantly through the media outlets, through all the social media channels, through the news. Like everybody is telling you that we're in this thing, which causes people to believe it and then respond and react, which is the exact opposite of what you should be doing, is being reactive. Yeah. And now everybody's being reactive to everything that's being thrown at them, which is, prices are too high. Things are like, and they're just responsive like that. Yeah. It's a dangerous place to be.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what we want to talk about is that narrative, right? Because it's what's been thrown at you. We are in a recession, so pull back. We are in a recession, so things are scary. Things are, it causes you to be timid. And what I think it does is create, like, we talked about this in the first season, but that's really operating with your family and with your business and your relationships. Are we operating out of abundance, or are we operating from a place of lack? And I totally agree. I think it's scary when we as people and as business people and as fathers and husbands and partners operate out of lack, because that's when you start to cheat your way to something quick, right? You start to approach your business a little bit differently because you're scared of what may happen. Because why? The narrative is we should be pulling back. Houston, don't go on these sales calls. Don't take a meeting because they're not going to make decisions right now. Well, I would challenge that, because within our business, the last 3 months, we have had more success. We've closed more deals. We've onboarded more clients. We've created more value for their businesses and their practices and their clinics than the rest of the year, right? Yeah. Combined. It's just been this huge launch point for us. And it's because we haven't let off the gas, and we've not been operating in lack. We've not been operating in this place of, well, everyone's kind of scared. No one's going to make a new decision now. But I find that when you reverse engineer that thought, good things will come. And I just want to encourage all of our listeners to do the same. It doesn't mean everything's going to work. Not everything's going to, not every meeting that you take is going to be a success or a breakthrough, or have that new contact, or, negotiate your way into a room that changes things for you. But if you do what you're talking about, which is buy the narrative and sit back, rest on your laurels, just kind of be fat and happy during this time, nothing will change.
Yeah. And that's not just about Christmas. That's during the entire recession that we're going to come into and then out of, hopefully. Right. Pending what those clowns do over there in DC that are just causing this socioeconomic wild ride that we're in for. Yep. And we're not negating the fact that interest rates are up, prices are up, gas is double, groceries are up, rent's up. Like, we're not negating the fact that things are more expensive. But when you focus on your expenses, that's what you're like. I'll tell you a quick story. We were out to lunch with a couple of my cousins, and my cousin was talking. He wants to get wealthy, right? And he's like talking about how to gain wealth and all this stuff. And one of my other family members gave him advice like, "Hey, focus on cutting your expenses, And I said, "Dude, forget about your expenses." I said, "Focus on making more money." And somebody was like, "You can't tell him that." I'm like, don't worry about, in this time, I'm not saying worry about figuring out how to make more money and create more value and give more value to the marketplace and command more income, and your expenses will take care of themselves. Right. In a recession, people are naturally going to pull back spending, which is now the time to kind of double down and go out and invest in yourself, invest in your businesses, and invest in assets, right? And you'll have to move with the cheese because interest rates are up, things are more expensive. Like you will have to call audibles. You're going to have to move with the cheese. Like we're doing it in our real estate business right now. Like interest rates we just got quoted 7.75%. Freaking a year ago, we were at 3.5% on stuff. which means our debt service on our annual mortgage on our apartment buildings that we buy commercial real estate, our annual mortgage is almost double what it was just a year ago. Like, what does that do to our offer prices, and how are we able to still purchase properties? I mean, we're closing on quite a few deals this year amidst the rising interest rates because we're able to move with the cheese, and now we have new information, but we're not letting that information paralyze us into sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So many people are taking the information that's being given right now, and they're sitting on the sidelines in paralysis, waiting for someone to come save them. But in reality, nobody's coming.
No.
It ain't going to be Trump in 2024.
No.
It's not DeSantis. The Dems might take it, steal it again. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen, but no one's coming to save you left or right.
Yeah.
So
something you said when talking with your family, your cousins, and it's like this automatic reaction when things are tight, economy's down, we're in a recession. What do? We cut. We've got to cut cost here. And I'm talking like, I know people that will cut on, they'll be like, I'm just not going to have coffee. I'm not doing Starbucks anymore. If I can cut $5 a day, it's $25 a week, Monday through Friday. Let's do the math. Okay, that's $100 a month that I've cut. And like that becomes the plan. And I get it. We've talked about this last season. I get it because we're taught imperfect lessons by imperfect people. But the reason we are putting this content out there is to get people to think differently. And I will challenge the shit out of that. If you think that saving $100 a month on coffee is going to create wealth for you and your family or create freedom for you and your family, it's just terrible information.
Yeah.
You can't
do anything.
Can't refute that. No.
Yeah.
But I guess the question that I have is, okay, so we're talking to that viewer, right? Someone's listening and they're like, well, I've thought that. I mean, of course, I'm saving $100 a month. What is that annualized? Okay, calculate that. Got it. But what if, like you said, what if instead of thinking, how do I save this or how do I cut this? How do I omit something from my life that I enjoy? I like coffee. I like Starbucks. I like all that stuff. But what if you, again, just reverse engineer the thought and think, how do I create more instead? Right? Like, don't buy the narrative of cut back, interest rates, buying in your business, in real estate. Don't make those decisions now. Don't pony up the capital. You got to hold on to it.
Yep.
When in fact, it's the opposite. But so two things I'm going to throw at you. One, what could people be doing instead of the cut, like in creating more income, right? Creating more money, creating more verticals, more revenue for their business or businesses. And then two, how do we get people to think differently? Like, what challenging questions could we ask? Because we have these, coffee talk conversations with people all the time.
Yep.
What questions could we be asking them to get them to think differently?
Yeah, that's great. So the first answer is it's just what you're focused on, because when you're focused on saving $100, like you're focused on the 100, like it's such a nominal amount of money. It sends a message to the universe of scarcity. And that perpetuates through the rest of your life. If you're focused and your energy is focused on saving $100, you're sending a message out to the universe that is telling the universe that you have a scarcity mindset.
And I don't know how to get this back.
Yeah.
Right?
I need to save this $100.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying spend money frivolously, but what we are saying is like, figure out instead, focus on how to make an extra $1,000 a month to start.
Bingo.
Right?
Yeah.
How do you make an extra $1,000 a month? Instead, why don't you spend $100 a month on coaching or join, real life trading, which is like $200 a month, like, and learn a new skill so that you can then go out and make more money. How do you make more money?
Yeah.
Right? Versus worrying about how to save it. So I think it's where your energy is focused is so big, because it's sending signals to the universe, which is giving you the opportunities in relation to the signals that you're sending out.
Yeah.
And then as far as like the questions you're asking, man, I started asking these questions a few years ago, is just like, where did I get this information originally? And I think when people start tracing back to where the original belief came from, and a lot of them are subconscious, right? Where did this information come from? And then when you start to trace that information back, ask yourself one very, very specific question. Is the person or thing or place, specifically the person that I got this information from, someone that I would be willing to trade places with in life? especially in that specific area. If it's money, right? Would I be willing to trade places with this person from a financial sense?
Great answer.
Like, I don't think enough people are asking that question, because we were just talking about it before we started filming, is like, when we were talking about the recession, is like, it's just a nature of just most people just have bad information, and they're not questioning where they got the information from, when it came to them. And that is just it's perpetuating just kind of the same narrative in their life, because they just have this belief, right? And you've heard all the standard ones, like money is evil, those kinds of like normal beliefs. Wealthy people are greedy, those types of things. Yeah. But it goes down very, very granular to almost like every little decision you make. 99% of them are like subconscious, based on beliefs that you've had instilled. And the hardest part about switching your mindset from this scarcity to this abundance thing is removing the beliefs that you already have, not accepting new ones, but removing old limiting beliefs. And that is the hardest part, because it's cognitive dissonance in your mind, because that cognitive dissonance is going against something that you've believed, and now have new information that contradicts what you've believed. Yeah. And people want to reject that, which is the whole fucking reason we're in this situation in the country that we're in, is because there's a group of people that are just rejecting the fact that they've been misled. Yeah. Yeah. And like, I think, because
that doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good.
You're like, oh my God, I'm wrong.
I'm wrong.
Yeah. I have the wrong information. I was misled. The wool was pulled over my eyes. Yep. I should have been thinking differently all along. And for years, I've followed this path because this is what was given to me, right? Yeah. I followed this thought process, and it's subconscious. Yeah. But you hit the nail on the head. You can't go from, this place of lack, right? Operating in lack to operating in abundance, and making decisions like what we're talking about, having conversations like what we're talking about, until you basically have to retrain your brain. And that starts with completely decoding all of the information that you had before. I think what's exciting is being in the times that we are, where information is at your disposal. It's free, right? You don't have to pay for this.
100%.
Information is free. And so we have to be able to think differently. We have to be able to think abundantly. We have to be able to act abundantly. But it starts with what you said, and that's decoding some of the misinformation, decoding some of the old ways of thought, right? And you have to challenge yourself, because you've got to take a deep dive into subconscious. You got to take a deep dive into like, where did these come from? For me, I know where some of that stuff came from before, from my parents, from my dad, and this like scarcity mindset, hold on to what you got. But yeah, you're right, Chad. You have to be able to decode all that and essentially unlearn and then relearn the right information to propel yourself forward and maintain that abundance mindset. There's a gap. Like, you can't just go from I'm living in lack, I'm operating in lack, I'm operating in this mindset of a recession to this abundant lifestyle where I have freedom, I have time, I have everything I need for my family. Yep. It's a journey, but it starts with decoding some misinformation.
Yeah. You can't just watch a YouTube video and you're like, oh, all right, I'm going to be wealthy now.
Right.
Like, it doesn't work like that, because what happens is, as you start down that journey and you get to the challenges that are coming, because they're fucking coming. Yeah. Right. Those beliefs, if you haven't done that inner work, those beliefs come back. Yeah. Right. And then you're like, all right, this isn't for me. I don't need money. Money's not important. Like, those beliefs come back if you haven't done the inner work. Yeah. And I think that is the biggest piece. Is first thing, you have to have a higher level of consciousness to look at your life right now, realize it's a totality of the decisions that you've made up until this point, and realize, like, what information did I have to make those decisions? Yeah. And now you hit the nail on the head. We have all the information at our fingertips. Yeah. If you are living in a poor mindset, or you're broke right now, I would challenge you that it is 100% your fault. Because if you have an iPhone, you have no excuse. What's your algorithm saying about you? Yeah. We talked about this last season a lot. Yeah. Like, you're changing your algorithm up, or, that the fact that we just have all the information readily available at our fingertips, yet some people still choose to live in that lack. And it's because they're in this, I call it a simulation that's been kind of perpetuated down of, the education stops at schooling, right? And now the education is over, and they stop learning, and they go and start trading their time for money, and then they contribute to the 401k, and they kind of play that game out and just chase themselves into a grave, kind of chasing the dollar. Yeah. And that simulation that most people are playing right now, because we know 65-70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. So they're in that game unless they're actively trying to get out, right? It's okay. It's okay to have a W-2 job. Like, we're both entrepreneurs, but we both have had W-2 jobs
for a long time.
For a long time, right? And it's okay to have that. And it's not even saying you need to leave that, but you have to be consciously aware. I think that is the first thing, is awareness. Then you can start to unlearn and unbelieve. Then you can start to relearn and rebelieve. Then you can start to take action.
Implement, take action.
And it's perfect segue into the next episode, where we're talking about how the work comes before the belief. Because there's a gap, there's a delta. Before people start coming out and saying they believe in you, there's a big delta there that can be quite lonely. So we're going to talk about it here in a minute.
Yeah, man. Excited.
All right.